And here we are on Maya. This is the first time you are launching the software. Don't panic. Everything will be fine. You are surely on either the 2023 or 2024 version. My tutorial will work in any case for the 2023, 2024 and later versions. All versions above 2024 will be valid. Actions above 2024 will be carried out, and actions above 2024 will be carried out. Here I am on the 2023 version, and we will start now. So now I actually have a little pop-up that just opened right now. Currently. Am I a new user or am I experienced? For new users, they offer a short video that briefly explains the software a bit. We are going to set it to experienced in order to access the interface directly. Here we are. On the interface of Maya, this is where you will be able to work simply. So we will efficiently and swiftly go through all the icons and windows that we see on this interface so that you can thoroughly and comprehensively familiarize yourself with the software. Indeed, there is a lot to see, which can be quite intimidating at first. It can intrigue you, it can be a little bit more scary, but don't worry, we will go through all of it together. To be completely honest with you, in this tutorial, we will only use about 10% of everything that is offered by Maya. And generally speaking, even with a lot of experience, you will never use everything that is available here. There are many options, and there are things that we don't really use frequently, or even at all. For now, we will focus on the overall interface of Maya. Indeed, at first glance, it seems very, very dense, and that can be intimidating. It can really be frightening. But don't panic. I assure you that everything will go very well. To reassure you, I can tell you that in this tutorial, we will use almost only 10% of all the tools available in Maya, generally speaking. Even someone with experience who uses Maya on a daily professional basis will never use all of these tools. There are tools that are very specific, meant for a certain task, and a task that is very rarely used. The interface is in English. English is the universal language, and all the tools I will mention throughout the tutorial will be referred to in English. So I advise you to keep your software in English, or switch it to English instead of French, or any other language, as it will be much easier for you to understand and learn. So, on this overall interface, Maya is composed of different compartments that we will identify and understand to familiarize you with the software. We will first overview them as a whole, and then we will come back to them in more detail. So for this first compartment, in the center, the highest one, is the viewport window. I will write it down right here. Viewport. So this is essentially the viewport that is specifically confined to this particular window, as you can see in this context. Excuse me, we might want to include something like this. So, the viewport in Maya is a real-time viewing window that allows you to see and manipulate your 3D scenes directly within the software's interface. In fact, it is essentially your window into the world you are creating. In there, you will be able to manipulate the object, so you will be able to rotate it, move it, change its size, and add all the details you want. Ultimately, it is the ultimate window for creation. This is where all your masterpieces will emerge. So if you want me to give you a little example, I will take a cube. Don't worry. We will see how to do all of this. And we can see here that it appears. And now I can rotate around this object. We will also see later how to navigate this viewport. But there you have it. You really have a 3D space that is in this window. And this is really where everything is going to happen. This is where it all will take place. Next, we have the outliner tool. The outliner tool is right here, in this section, as you can see. So I will definitely write it as well. The outliner also So this window is basically a window that displays a hierarchy of the elements in your 3D scene. The outliner allows you to view and manage all the objects, lights, cameras, and materials, and also other elements that make up other projects. Similarly, we will look at this in detail. There will even be a session that is entirely dedicated to the outliner, because it is quite complicated to understand. But you will see, it will come together. It just takes a little time. It is something new, and you will need to get used to this way of thinking. But once that is said, it will happen on its own. Next, we have a small compartment, here, where I took the cube earlier, and that is called the shelf. This small compartment is quite useful for storing various items. It is specifically designed to hold objects securely. So the shelf or shelves, because there are several, include the shelf for curved surfaces, polymodeling, sculpting, rigging, animation, etc. The shelves, which are essentially toolbars, are various different elements located at the top of the user interface, of the software interface. They provide quick access to the tools, commands, and most commonly used features in the software. We will look at this in more detail later. It is quite important and very useful in modeling. Next, at the very top of the shelves, there are indeed what we commonly refer to as menu sets. In fact, these are menus, so we will use menu, specifically menu set. So it's menu 7. In fact, it's actually a whole range of drop-down menus that have their usefulness and importance in specific worlds. If I click on File, there we have a drop-down menu that appears. It's the same for Edit and so on. Exciting, 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 exciting. Here you have a variety of menu sets, but know that there are many more. Let me explain. Here you have animation. If you click on it, you will also get a menu set that offers other options: modeling, rigging, FX, rendering, and customize, as you can create your own shelves. I will come back to that later. Our own shelf menus. Excuse me. So if you basically want to make a change, you click on it and you actually observe that other menu sets essentially appear while some essentially disappear. You see that earlier we were in animation and we had, for example, key playback, audio. If I switch to rigging, we notice they have disappeared, and skeletons, skins, and shapes have appeared. We are going to focus mainly on modeling, so I invite you to click on modeling. This is what will be most useful to us in our modeling foundations. Next, we have the workspace. I don't know if you can see it clearly, but it is right at the top of the screen. Finally, the workspace is your workspace. It constitutes the entire Maya interface. You will understand. In fact, the workspace refers to the configuration and layout of the user interface. Here I am in general. You will see that if I switch to modeling standard, for example, it completely changes my interface. If I switch to UV editing, essentially, a completely new and different interface appears. In fact, mainly. There is essentially the same thing in all these workspaces. The difference is that they are positioned differently. They are positioned differently, some are visible while in this, in this, in this, in this. In the basic workspace, they are hidden. And all of this will allow us to choose our ideal workspace. So, in this tutorial, we will keep it general. In general, it will be simpler, and basically more importantly for your understanding to have something basic. But once you have accessed the software, you can very easily choose other workspaces, such as the standard modeling, which may be more effective specifically for modeling. Or regarding animation, you can choose the animation workspace. And there indeed you will have other things that will appear or that will be larger. All the useful things for animation will ultimately be there. You can also, I generally go back, you can also create your own workspace. And this is where it gets very, very interesting. Because once you are comfortable with the software, you will be able to customize it as you wish. Finally, if you don't like having the outliner here and would prefer to place it on the right instead, You can do that. And just like that, you'll be able to slide the windows. You see what I did? I just clicked on the outliner, I held it down, and now I have it in my hand, if you will. I can let it go. It can stay there as a kind of floating window, or I can dock it to another existing window. You see, when there is the blue outline here, I just have to release it. And you can simply and easily place your outliner here. It works, for instance, for your shelves, or even other areas. You can also arrange them however you want. You can place them here. You can even put them at the bottom. There you go. Everything is customizable to your way, to your working style. So indeed, in general, people who are a bit more experienced may create their own workspace where they feel comfortable. I have my own as well. Something I built gradually based on my preferences because, for example, I didn't like the outliner being here, so I moved it to the right. It's the same for several other things like that. Well, if you've been following me, you might have made some of the same moves I did, and now it's a bit of a mess, to put it mildly. So the best way to solve our problem, if you don't want to put the outliner back exactly where you found it, or if you can't remember where it was, or if you've lost it because you clicked on the cross, all these problems can be solved with a click. You click on General and reset current workspace. And there, magic, everything is fine, everything has returned to normal. So as I told you, we will stay on General. I think that at the end of the tutorial, I will show you my workspace, and you might be able to copy that if you like, and we will see how to save it, etc. So the small compartment, which is actually somewhat less useful to us, is the one at the bottom. Do you see all these numbers right here? This is what we call the timeline. The timeline. So this timeline is indeed very useful and extremely useful for everything related to animation. For animation, it's very useful. For simulation as well. And for FX too. For modeling, it can indeed be useful to us. I don't think we will necessarily use it in this tutorial. Perhaps we will be led to use it, but it will be very brief things. It's good to keep in mind that this timeline exists, and we will come back to it, of course, a little later, of course. And finally, on the right, we have what is called the sidebar, the sidebar, the sidebar, the sidebar, which is ultimately composed of several windows, as you will see. So this sidebar is framed like this. And on this sidebar, we have several small menus. We have the modeling toolkit, the Trimute editor, and the channel box layer editor here. So the channel box is here and the layer editor is here. Now we have the channel box and layer editor selected. You can easily switch to attribute editor by clicking on it, or to modeling to clip by clicking on it as well. We will go back in detail. Because it is quite important, and it requires us to really delve into these three windows. You should also know that it is important to note that you can hide these specific windows by clicking on this one. You can see that here we have a viewport that is a bit larger, and you can find them, of course, by clicking on them. So here we think, but there isn't much displayed on it, obviously. However, if I take a cube, that's where the magic happens, and here we will have a lot of options that will appear. We will really go over this in detail, so don't worry, it's not rocket science. So there you go. I think we've covered the general overview. Now we will go into much more detail about all these windows. I'll see you in the next video.